All right, if you've ever thought about maybe getting into Yu-Gi-Oh but stopped due to how expensive it is, now might be the right time to jump in. Decks are more affordable than they've been in years, and with some big reprints on the way, the game is starting to feel much more accessible. Now, to be clear, what I'll be focusing on in today's video is just deck cores. Some staples are still a little out of reach to some players, but the important part is that you can grab a strong competitive core right now. And as we get those reprints, the price of the full deck is going to be much lower. So with that in mind, today we're going to talk about top 5 budget meta decks right now. Of course, if you like this video, make sure to give it a like and share your thoughts and ideas about decks that we can pick up for very cheap in the comments. So let's jump into the video and talk about the first deck, which is actually the winning deck from YCS Vancouver, and this is Yummy. Now I have YGO Pro deck opened up over here, and obviously at the top, it's always going to say the deck, the event, the placement, all of that. And here's the price. Now keep something in mind. This is the price for the particular deck, particular cards, and rarities that this person decided to pilot. Like I prefaced at the beginning of the video, today we're going to be focusing on cores and obviously not on rarities. Now, some staples are going to be reprinted in 2025 Megatins, which we're all very eagerly awaiting. And when we look at actual deck cores, if we take a look at Yummy, this is the only deck that doesn't actually display the core prices for some reason down here at the card market and TCG player logo. I don't know what's up with that, but I have it pulled up over here. Don't you worry. And then the other decks don't have those issues. So, okay. Kiki Yummy, Lolipo Yummy, as well as Cupsy Yummy are all the main deck monsters that you're going to need. And all of them are around the same price. Cupsy is just a little more expensive. I don't know why, really. Is it more short printed than the other ones? Or is it just the fact that it's better? Because it is the best Yummy. We're not discriminating against Yummy, but it is the best Yummy. So this one is about $12 a copy. And then we have Lolipo, which is around $8. And the same goes for Kiki. And then there's Snatchy over here, also $8. So if you get all of those monsters, a playset of all of them, you pretty much have your deck built, low-key, because everything else from the core doesn't cost much. Obedience Scold is nothing because it was reprinted. And then we have the Sky Striker package, which Engage is $5 a copy. But the important part about the Yummy deck in particular is the fact that you can add on top of it. You don't gotta get Engaged immediately. We just saw a winning deck list of Yummy that was crazy cheap, and that is why I'm bringing you this deck as the number one option, because with this particular deck and archetype, it just gives you the option to play a lot of non-engine. So whatever you own, you can include, in my personal opinion, and the opinion of a lot of people, the hand trap version is a little bit better, and hand traps are very cheap. That's not to say that other board breakers aren't, but Thrust is still about $15 a copy. So if you just want to play cheap hand traps, literally like about $1, not even that, per hand trap. And then we have the Charmy cards. And that's what I was alluding to before. Purulia is definitely a card that is expected to have a reprint that is going to drive down the price of it. And the same goes for Dominus Purge. Obviously, both of them are still going to be cards with a fairly significant price point, but for a staple that you're going to play 3 of in probably every single side deck moving forward, I assume, I don't think that's such a bad deal. So let's just wait for 2025 Megatins. Let's wait for the prices to settle down a little bit, and then we can actually get the full deck, because everything else is cheap. This is literally, oh yeah, again, Yummy cards are just not getting displayed, but they're like a couple cents only. The same goes for all the rest. Not even Crisis, like Sky Crisis is an expensive card anymore at this point in time. So overall, this deck is a crazy good pick, because obviously today we're not going to talk about prices only, but obviously why decks are good, because I am choosing meta decks. These are good contenders. This is like the top, like, it's the best decks out there that you can perform with. So let's move on. Let's talk about the next one because that one is also crazy, and that is K9 Crystron. And yes, maybe you're like, oh yeah, K9 Izuna, it's like $30 a copy. I get it, but Crystron cards are so cheap that the only card you're gonna be spending on is Izuna. So if you get a playset of this, which is like an insane hand trap in its own right, and yes, you heard me right, it is a hand trap that you can play in a lot of different decks, not just this one in particular. You can just have this as a staple, just literally use it like this because everything else in this deck is cheap. Like literally everything, and that includes the extra deck and the spell cards. Like, okay, Droplet is about $5, but you maybe own it already because that goes for a lot of these staples. You might just have them in your binder as we speak. So everything in this extra deck, except maybe SP, which you also probably own, and in case you don't, that is also fine. Because, like, you have to keep in mind, whenever you're thinking of investing in a deck, where are you gonna play it? How many times are you gonna play it? How competitive is that environment? Are you really trying to invest a lot of money into this game? How important is it to you? Are you gonna travel? Like, a lot goes into this. So I just really want to focus on decks that, you can perform well with, and they're going to last you for a long time because obviously we're getting a ban list. We'll see what happens with that. And that is like also a great segue for my next deck I want to talk about today, which is Raizyu Mitsurugi. I don't know what's going to happen on the ban list, but for now, I think that deck is still a good choice. So just you have to keep all of that in mind. And before we move on, I just want to say that this is a list that won Houston Regional. So moving on to Raizyu Mitsurugi, we're going to talk about a list that got top 4 at a regional. And again, keep in mind, there's Purulia in the deck, rarities, all of that. Like there's 7 Tachyon, which is still about a $17 card. It's a consistency card. You don't necessarily have to run it. I have to sneeze. Okay, I can't. Okay. The Mitsurugi cards, the Raizyu cards, they are all cheap. And if you're afraid of Raizyu getting hit, perhaps even Mitsurugi getting hit, you don't have to invest into this deck. But keep in mind that you may already own a core, because if you were literally just opening packs, you probably have most of the Mitsurugi cards because they're all very accessible, besides Mitsurugi Ritual, which is a one-off in the deck, so no worries there. And when it comes to Raizyu cards, I would say they are also an accessible archetype. But the good thing is that you don't have to get the Raizyu cards because altogether they would cost you about $20 to $30 just by quick maths, which I'm bad at math, so correct me if I'm wrong. But if you're afraid, you can maybe just get the Mitsurugi core because pure Mitsurugi is still a super solid choice. And maybe I didn't talk about K9 Crystron enough before. I was just mainly focusing on the price. That combo deck has the highest ceiling in the format right now, and that is super important to note. Moving on, I also want to talk about Memento. This deck is kind of like an underdog of the format. You can also include K9 in it. You can include Fiendsmith in it. This particular one reached top 8 at a regional. And Memento overall as an engine is very accessible. The only card that's a little more expensive is Combined Creation. But everything else, as I'm going through this, you can get for very, very cheap. This deck is super nice because it's got a very strong engine, and pair that together with Board Breakers, I think you have a very solid deck on your hands. It's a little tougher to pilot. You have to practice with it a lot, but it's crazy rewarding and it plays through hand traps insanely well. So with all of that in mind, I think this is a very solid pick, super cheap deck. And for the last deck, this is the only one. Now, don't at me. I said those are some crazy meta decks on this list right now. The last one is Prime Blue Eyes, and I'm like one of the number one Prime Blue Eyes haters, low-key, because I don't think this deck is that great. However, it just keeps on doing well. So trust results. Not me. My main point is that, you know, like decks like Yummy, etc., are just better mid-range-ish decks, because Yummy is kind of like a mix of combo and mid-range. I guess it's mid-range. It can play a lot of hand traps, but games end super quickly unless you grind in a mirror match, which is just crazy, but let's not even get into that. There are better options out there, and I would say a lot of times Blue Eyes has a bricking issue, and people say it doesn't, but it low-key does. And Primite cards are a tiny bit more expensive. You would have to pay about 15 for a playset of Barrel, and then you have the Lordly Loads, which are 20 bucks a copy. So if you truly don't want to invest into this is why I chose this deck as the fifth one on this list. Just get one of the other decks. It's fine, and it's probably going to be a little more rewarding piloting those. But if you're a Blue Eyes enthusiast, or you have the structure decks, because it's very cool when structure decks drop, it immediately makes the meta much more accessible. Unfortunately, this deck only really works if you put Primate in it, but that's besides the point. You can just get those structure decks. You can, combine them in like a Blue Eyes type deck, and then just add Primite on top of it if you want to, when you can afford to do so. It's good because you can play a lot of hand traps. It plays through hand traps very nicely as well, so keep that in mind. And overall, the extra deck is accessible as well. So I would say this is the last very good choice, and we could talk about more decks, but I do want to limit myself to just 5 today. I think truly that the meta is shaping up to be a good format and an affordable one. And that's very rare. So let's just all enjoy this meta right now. Let's look forward to the Megatins, to the ban list, and we'll see what happens in the future. But thank you very much for tuning into this video. And if you have your own thoughts and ideas about budget decks, please share them in the comments. And don't beef with me about staples. We're talking about cores. I know Charmies are a little more expensive. I know it's annoying. I know you need them to compete, but hopefully the reprints drive the prices down. And that's all. That's the last I'm gonna say on this topic. So yeah, again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!